Alright, so I just wrote this utility called saveToken getToken, and I want to take you through how it works and how I created it. So we have our standard layout. We have Jest, we have TypeScript, we have Lerna, um, pretty standard setup. I go through it in many of my videos. There are two parts to this. There's saving the token and then there's getting the token. So let me show you the tests for saving the token first. So the first thing we do is we import read file and we promisify it. Promisify basically takes the callback version and turns it into a promise which we can await. And then I import the UUID utility in order to create unique file names that we can later on check for in the test. So then we have the saveToken file, and we have the actual function, and then we have the file prefix that it uses to save things in. So our test, we have two tests. We can either save to a temporary file by passing a token identifier and the token, or we can save to a custom file just by passing the token and the file path. Save to a custom, yeah. So by default, it saves to a unique location, just prefixed. It's in temp. Let me show you. Save. It's in temp / node api-toolkit, saveToken. Should probably make this with dashes. But yeah. Anyways, then it takes a unique token name. And for example, test token. But it really should be the name of your app and maybe the user ID and the name of the token. So yeah, you pass in the token identifier, you pass in the token that you're saving, so just a test token here, and then we want to check if this actually saved. So we manually read the file, the saveToken prefix / test token, and turn it into a string because by default it's a buffer, and it should come out to be a token. So let me show you how the code works there. I go into saveToken, and basically I first have the write file utility. I promisify it, just like the read file. Here's my file prefix. Now, for the saveToken options, the token's always required, but then you either take a token identifier or the file path, and then we basically check if we passed in the token identifier, then we just prepend that path with the token identifier that we passed. Otherwise, we just use the file path, and otherwise we just throw an error. So we return the promise for writing the file. So we write to the path the token. No JSON, it's just the plain token. And of course, when we get it back, it should have the token. So the other thing that we saw here is passing in a custom file. So I just called it temp, node API toolkit, make it into dashes, saveToken test custom file, and I make a UUID in this test because if the test worked once, then it'll give false positives. But if it's always a random file, then it will never give a false positive. But yeah, in your custom file, you would never actually use a UUID because it would actually need to be something that you can reuse next time. So you save the token by passing in the token and the file path. And again, we read the file, and there we go, I am a token. And yeah, the test should pass. Good. So let me close everything else. So then we have the opposite of this, which is getToken. So for getToken, again, we pass just the token identifier to get it from a file. But in order to test getToken, we first need to save the token. So we do saveToken, then we do getToken on the test token, and lo and behold, we have I am a token. And it should take a file path and read the token from it. So temp node api-toolkit and save to that custom file with the UUID, and again, it gets back I'm a token. Now let's see the actual code. So it's very similar to the saveToken. We actually get that prefix from the saveToken file. But again, instead of writing a file, we read a file, just like in our tests. We check if we have a token identifier or a file path, and that becomes the path. And then we await reading that file and turn it into a string, just like in our tests. So very simple utility, but here's how you use it in practice. I wrote it in the README. A few notes. There's a few tips for making your token identifier. So you want it to be as specific as possible. And generally you want to include the name of your app, the name of the token, and the user ID or email to who it belongs to. So a really good example of a token name would be my app _ Dropbox API token _ user 123. So to save the token, you import from saveToken. I actually, in my index file, just import these two files and export the functions, just for simplicity. And you just go in and say, all right, I want to save my token. I pass the token identifier, the token, and to retrieve it, I do getToken, and again, I pass the token identifier, and it just gets the token. Very simple. So the other way is to save it to a custom file, and here I just say, all right, here's my custom file location, and to retrieve it, I just pass that custom file location. Very straightforward. And that is saveToken. Check it out. And the installation, all you have to do is type bash yarn add at node API toolkit /saveToken, and that's it. We are done. That was a very simple video.